Hey guys, what is going on today? Johan here with Ifixyourcell. Today we're going to be repairing an iPhone 4 cdma. CDMA being you could only use it with Sprint or Verizon because it does not contain a SIM card. So, well, let's get started on this repair. As you can see, the phone is dead, but it's fine. We can still perform it. See, actually even better. It's even safer. So, here's the kit we throw in with the screen once you order it from our website. The screen's in here. Pretty much the kit contains everything you do need for this repair. So, let's get started. Just throw this bag off to the side. Alright, pretty much what you want to begin with is by shutting off your phone first of all, but since this one is dead, we really don't need to shut it off. So, first thing you want to do after it's done shutting off is you want to get these two screws from down here, and you want to take them off with the yellow screwdriver. They're special screws. Alright, set them off to the side. Once that's done, you want to take something flat, or even your own fingers, and push the back of it up and out. That's pretty much it. It's the inside of the iPhone. So next thing you want to do is you want to take off the battery. Battery being right here. It's just held on by one screw. Just take that one screw with the blue screwdriver, set that off to the side. Make sure you don't lose them. Please be very careful and make sure you don't lose them, that you keep track of all the screws. Now, with your nail, easiest way to do it, to actually take this connector off, is just pretty much put your nail in between the black right there and the battery. Be very gentle when you're prying it up because you do not want to tear that connector off. It's a pain to fix, and that's one job that we wouldn't recommend you guys do, because it's a lot of work, and not only that, you're risking your phone. So it'd be better if you shipped it into us and we could do it for you. Alright, next thing you want to do is with the blue pry tool, you want to just tuck it into that corner of the phone and start prying up on the battery. Just like that. Battery's off. Put that off to the side. And if you want, the easiest way to deal with this flap so that it doesn't annoy you is just to stick it on over here. Next thing you want to remove is this plate. Pretty simple. Two screws on either end. Make sure you keep the screws on the side that they belong, because you don't want to put one screw on one side, one screw on the other, because in the back it won't close. Here's the plate. Now take this connector off with your nail, or if you want, actually, you could use this blue pry tool that you use to take out the battery. Either way, just as long as you don't pull on it too hard, the connector should be fine. Right, so you can bend that like that backwards so that it doesn't get in the way. Next thing you want to do is you want to take off this little contact point here. This is the ground for the entire phone. So it's just held on with one screw. And after that screw is out, pretty much this just comes off just like that. Set that off to the side, and now you want to get this connector off. Easiest way to do it is just grab your pry tool again. Pretty much just tuck it in right here and just pry up, and it should just come right out, just like so. Just work it out of the way there. Next, what you want to do is you actually want to take this top plate off. This top plate is pretty much what holds down all the connectors. So what you want to do is just, there's 5 screws on it. Just remove all the 5 screws and make sure that you keep them in order. And you don't confuse them with any other screw of the phone, because these are the specific size for each gap and trying to find the screw that fits in here. It's going to be a very difficult task since this phone does have over 30 screws on it. You don't want to confuse any single one of them. Alright, now to get this plate off, all you want to do is you want to just lift from here, from this side, get your finger in there, push down this way, and it should just pop it right out, like so. Alright, the last plate you have to remove is this one right here. Just held on with one screw. Once that screw is loose, what you want to do is you want to just tuck the plastic pry tool right on this side, just like so, and just start lifting. And then once it's lifted a little bit, grab it with your fingers, take it completely out. It's just clamped on, so it should be relatively simple. Now, what you want to do next is you want to take off all of these connectors. I suggest you do that with this pry tool because you don't want to have to pull on it too hard with a screwdriver or something like that and then damage any of the connectors or damage the sensors themselves. Like that. Take out the camera. Pretty simple. This right here is just a spacer between the camera and the glass on the back so that nothing gets in, like no dust or anything like that. These are the two connectors for the LCD. These right here, ribbon cables, are pretty much for the vibrator. Actually, no, the vibrator's down here. They're for the sensor and speaker assembly that's right behind the motherboard, and also the lock button. So just be careful with those. Alright, now what you want to do is you want to take off this screw right here, this one right here, this one right here, and there's a hidden one right underneath this plastic. So you want to take all of those off before you can access the board, so you can remove it. Alright, so that's one. I'll take off these two first. In the kit as well, and I forgot to mention this, you're gonna have a flat screwdriver just to take out these 3 screws here, because they are a pain if you don't have a flat head screwdriver like this one. So just pretty much unscrew it. Make sure that these screws, especially these screws, you have them in order and you don't confuse them, because if you do, then the all of the screws that go to these screws, because pretty much these are double-sided screws, so that one side is a nut and the other one's a screw end. All of these screws that go into these mounts are going to be thrown off, and you're not going to be able to close the phone at all or reassemble it past a certain point. So now that those are off, you want to do is you want to get access onto underneath this. Excuse me, guys. And how you want to do that is you just want to take that screwdriver and just start lifting this plastic up, just like that. Apple pretty much puts this in their phone so that you don't tamper with it, but I mean, it's pretty simple to get access to. After you get that off, all you have to do is just unscrew this screw right here, unscrew it, and take off this gold piece right here, and make sure you set it off to the side with the same screw that it goes with. And that's pretty much it. I mean, now you can actually wiggle the board until it comes out. Like so. Now what we need to take out next is the speaker. Pretty much right here, it's only held on with 2 screws. And what you want to do is you want to just pretty much just take out these 2 screws and it should just pop right out. If you have a magnetized screwdriver, it's perfect for this kind of work because the screws just come right out. Alright, this plastic has to stay with those screws. So now what you want to do is you want to pry up on this, just like that. There's your speaker. You also want to remove the vibrator, which is right here. Which how you do that, the easiest way that I found to do it, so you actually jam in a screwdriver in there and just start lifting. And just be very gentle that you don't break it. But usually it should just come out just like that. Now next, what you want to do is you want to loosen up. You want to take off first the corner screws before anything. There's 4 screws. You want to just remove them. Right here underneath this black tape there's one more screw. So just remove that one. If you want, just remove the plastic tape, or if you want, you can actually just poke a hole through it. But sometimes poking a hole through it, as you can see here, isn't the greatest idea. So just the screwdriver, just kind of push it out. You don't really need the piece of tape there. So if you don't want to put it back, or if it ripped or something like that, you don't have to put it back. Okay, here's that one. That's the 4 screws. Now what you want to loosen up are these 6 screws down each side. There's 3, so you just want to loosen up. There's a total of 6. Okay, now that they're all loose, what you want to do is you just want to grab something flat, maybe a knife or something like a sesame tool if you have one. These are great to work with. So what you do is you just tuck it in right below the plastic frame and the metal frame and just start pulling up. The screen is held on by double-sided adhesive, so it's not very difficult to remove it, but sometimes it can be a little stubborn. And what you also have to do is that you have to make sure that the tape is clean when you're gonna reassemble the phone. But if there's too many shards of glass, you can actually remove it. It's not required that you have it there, but it is useful. One thing that I will tell you to remove out of the old screen is this little mount right here. This is for the camera, and you want to just keep it with the phone. Although sometimes it can be a pain to get off, but I suggest you just keep this with the phone. And how you put it back is pretty much just, it has a short side and a long side, and what you want to do is you just want to trace it back. It should just fall right into place perfectly, like that. Alright, so next thing to do, just get the screen out of the box, which will usually come in one of these. It should have foam packaging, or it can be wrapped in bubble wrap. Either way, it's still safe. Just get the screen out of here, and you put this off to the side. You won't be needing that anymore. Here's the replacement screen. So what you want to do to prep it, first thing you want to do is you want to take this red plastic off of the back, making sure that the foil stays in place. That's just to protect the screen from heat. Alright, so now to drop it into place, first thing you want to do is you want to take these tabs and run them through this gap right here. And you want to make sure that once they're on the other side, they're even. That just shows that they're both through all the way. And now the next thing you want to do is you want to line up the sides first. Pretty much the washer should be on the inside, just like that, on both sides, and the screen should be completely flat. If your frame is bent, I would suggest you replace the frame on the phone, because otherwise when you're trying to reassemble the new screen, it won't fall right into place, and it might give the screen a couple of dead pixels just because it is pushing on one end more than it is on the other. So I suggest you just replace the frame as well. These parts will be coming onto our website pretty soon, like the frame and the sensors should be out there already, but I mean glass and all that stuff for these phones and for Galaxies you can find there. Alright, so pretty much as of now, all you're gonna have to do is just work backwards, with the first thing putting these 4 screws back into place in each corner. Sometimes you have to be a little persistent with these screws, but if they're not lined up correctly, then they won't go all the way down completely flush to the frame, which is what you want. You want to have them completely down flush to the frame. But like in this corner, they are a bit stubborn to get sometimes, especially if you don't have a magnetized screwdriver. So what I recommend you do is actually the easiest way to magnetize these screwdrivers is to pass them and leave them on a magnet for a good 3 or 4 minutes, and it should just magnetize the screwdriver, and it'll be way easier to do these frames. Alright, so next thing on the list is just put back the vibrator here. Just go stuck on with double-sided adhesive, just like that. Following it would be the speaker, and what you want to do with the speaker is first you want to put in the bottom end, and then you want to start clipping it in on this side. Like that. And then take one of the screws that goes down there and put it on this side first, so it holds it down so that it's easier to mount the other side with the plastic triangle. Now that plastic triangle you have to be very careful with not to lose it, because otherwise your speaker's not gonna be properly fitted, and although the phone will close, the speaker won't sound properly. So what you want to do is just lay down the triangle first and then put the screw through, just like so. Alright, next thing to go in is the actual board. And how you want to do that is you just want to hold these connectors up, and you just want to feed the top of the board first, making sure that the ribbon cables aren't underneath the board or anything like that, and just start working it in. Remember that there is a corner here that goes into one of the slots on the frame, so that just guides it in a little bit. And these LCD connectors should be even. And the 4 connectors should be out of the way. And then there's one extra here. So to hold down the board, I'd suggest you actually take the gold plated end and just put the gold plated end right there. and take this screw that belongs there and just pass it through, and that should hold down the board for now. And then what you want to do is you want to take the screw that goes right here and you want to pass it through. It'll hold the rest of the board down so it's easier to mount the rest of the screws, just like so. So now the 3 screws that you had to deal with a flathead screwdriver, you want to put those in next. How you do those, pretty much the bottom one should be relatively easy, as well as the top one. The most difficult screw to put in this phone is the center one. Why? Because there's just a gap here, and if you don't line it up properly, then it's going to be very difficult for you to put it back into place. And sometimes what I recommend you do is you actually hold it in with your finger, kind of fence it in. Right here I'm going to put the top screw on first before I do the center screw. So here's the center screw. Now what you want to do is you actually want to take your finger, put it just like that, and put the screw right into place. And then with the flat screwdriver, you want to try to line it up and pass it through. And the screw is very tedious to get into place, and you won't get it the first time. Believe me, I've been doing this for a really long time and I still can't get that screw in the first time. It takes a little bit. Alright, so next thing you want to do, you want to put this connector on first, this top connector on, just like that. Then these 3 connectors on. You want to make sure that this ribbon cable on the side here that goes by the board, it's actually positioned correctly so that the connector goes into place fine. Then it's the bottom one, and then it's this one. Now what you want to put into place next is the camera, but first, before you put the camera in, remember to put the plastic in. And then put the camera in. You want to put the camera in before you actually close the LCD, because there's a little corner here that goes underneath the LCD ribbon cables, so it just makes it easier. Alright, next you want to put the 2 LCD connectors, LCD digitizer and backlight. So it's all incorporated into these 2 connectors. So you just want to hear them click. Once they click in, then it should be good to go. Next thing on the list is pretty much putting this plate back on. So how you do that is you just there's 2 corners right here that there's 2 holes in the board for, and there's this little tab over here. And how you want to approach it is you want to actually put it at an angle, push it down, and make sure that these tabs don't go out of place. And if they do, just take it back out and then put it back into place, just like that. So here, just put on the screws back in. Remember the positioning of the screws. It's very important in this step. So you just want to have all the screws already where they belong. Maybe draw it out somewhere or on your own desk. Just pretty much line them up and drop them into place. Just like so. Alright, next corner you want to put in is this plate that was over here, and just drop it into place just like that, and put the screw right through it and hold it down. Next thing you want to do, you actually want to put this in before you put this tab back on. So just make sure that it goes through all the corners here, and and once it passes through all the corners correctly, it should just fall into place. And all you're gonna have to do is just line it up a little bit, push it down. You should hear it click, and then you want to put on the ground plate. And that goes right here. It's held down with one screw. Just pretty much build that part, and then close this one off. You want to make sure that you line it up correctly and that it clicks into place. And then right here, just put the plate back on. Remember where the screws went on each side. Okay. Now that you did that, remember to take off that tab and put the battery back into place. Right, now that the battery is in, it's pretty much just take the screw that belongs to the battery, just put it right back into place, just like so. Now take the back, pretty much close the phone. You want to start from the top, just like that, leaving a little gap, and then push down. It should click into place. And now what you want to do is you actually want to put the screws back on. And let's see if the screen receives power. Alright, it's turned on. I'm going to charge it for you guys so you guys can see the finished product. Alright, so here's the phone powering on. There we go. Everything on the phone works. It is iOS 6, so. Alright guys. Thanks for watching.